All right, everybody. Well, again, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're joining us from. Excited to have you here, talk to you about the program, get to know your questions so that we can answer them and help you make a very informed decision about coming to UT Dallas. See, one of the things that we believe in is the more information you have, of course, you will be more aware of us, but it helps you in your decision-making process as well. My name is Gaurav Shekhar. I'm the program director for the MS Business Analytics Flex and Online program here at UT Dallas. I'm joined by my colleague here, Siva Leventhal, who's our program manager in the same program. And we are here to talk about the business analytics program and also leave some space towards the end for your questions. Now, the agenda is simple. I'll go through my slides, talk about the program, talk about the application process, the scholarships available, show you our catalog of courses, and at any point of time, if you have questions, just put them in the chat, because right after we are done with this, which will be about 20 to 25 minutes, we will simply jump into your questions and we'll take all those questions. But before we get started, use the chat and put the name of the city or country that you're joining us from so that we know where you are right now and just get to know you. All right, so we have Denver, Hyderabad, New Delhi. Go Delhi. India, Delhi, Taiwan, Seoul, Nepal, very good. India, Dallas, Taiwan, Belgaum, Mumbai, Hyderabad. Hyderabad is winning today. Seoul, very good. Well, thank you guys for joining us again. We are very grateful that you chose to spend some time with us this morning here. Dallas is a place, I can't call it a warm place. I can't call it a cold place. I can't call it a rainy place because I don't know, we might see all three weathers in the same day. But it is relatively, I would say, it's a flat land. Uh, Summers are really hot, winters are cold. Sometimes get snow every few years, maybe for a few days. But it's not a place that is laden with snow. We'll have a lot of sun, of course, but not too much of snow. And within Dallas, the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, which has close to about 7 million people, it is one of the largest metroplexes in the world. And it's like an intersection of the United States. So people who are aware of how the geography of the United States is, you may have heard about the East Coast being very much, it gravitates towards financial services. Any financial companies would be located in the East Coast. The tech is on the West Coast. Right here in Dallas-Fort Worth, it's like an intersection of both. In fact, just not the tech or the financial sector, but it's like any industry. Why? Because number one, it's located at a great place. It has an international airport that connects to any part of the world. Geographically, it's very well located. At the same time, no state tax. It's a great place to live, to have your family here. The value for money is more. We have bigger roads. They say everything's big in Texas, and that is there for us as well here. For the same price that you might spend in New York or California, you get more return on the money that you're spending here. So of course, from a variety of standpoints, it's a very profitable place for people. And of course, culture. There is no culture in the world that you don't find here in Dallas. Now, within Dallas, even though the Metroplex is referred to as Dallas-Fort Worth, and we generally call it Dallas, it's like a congregation of a lot of different cities. And we are right here in the city of Richardson, which is in the center. It's like the heart of the Metroplex where UT Dallas is. Now, one of the things about UT Dallas is it's one of those campuses that is in an urban area. We are not located in the outskirts of the city that, there's nobody around us. We're right in the middle of the city. So there's a lot of stuff going on right in the middle of where you are. And you don't feel like as if you are in wilderness or nowhere. And despite being right in the middle, it is a pretty large campus from that standpoint. So people who come here, they do like the campus. It's a beautiful place to be. And of course, a great place to get a degree. Talking about the business analytics program, the MS Business Analytics program is in the School of Management. We are a very different School of Management. We are not one of those School of Managements which is purely a School of Management, but it's like whatever you want to make it. We are a very, I would say, a techno business school. So a lot of our programs are STEM designated, which means that if you want to gear your experience on the technical areas, absolutely you can do that. Most of our students end up having that balance between technology and business, which is what we expect them to have, because at the end of the day, when you go and work in the workplace, they expect you to wear multiple hats. And that's what our students get acquainted with here in the business school. Now, the business analytics program happens to be the largest graduate program here. And we are not just the largest graduate program in the School of Management, but if you look at business analytics programs around the US, we are the largest. And I would easily say North America. Now, a lot of times people ask questions that does that big size hurt us in any way? Well, I feel that is to our advantage that we are so big. In a few minutes, I will show you our catalog. And that catalog has close to 75 different courses that our students can pick from. And all those choices won't be possible if we were not a big program. So again, it all works to everybody's advantage to have all those options available so that you as a student can tailor your experience the way you want it. But even before we talk about why we are what we are, the question is, why do you need a business analytics degree? And how will that help you in your career? What are you not doing right now, or what can this degree help you do? See, then to really answer this question, we have to really go back a few decades. In the 70s and the 80s, the idea was about, when computers, technology was being used in organizations on a large scale now. 70s and the 80s kind of saw that boom. The question was, okay, let's establish system, let's have some way to collect data. At the end of the day, why do you need a computer system, or why do you need an application, or why do you need tech? To manage data. That's the only reason why you need it. So when you're managing data, of course, the pursuit was to establish or use databases that can be used to collect this data, etc. After a couple of decades, the question was, okay, we have all this data, what do we do with it? And that's where some of the tech leaders brought in concepts where they were analyzing their data. They were trying to look for trends, patterns, what worked, what did not work, all those kind of things. Because at the end of the day, you want to be in an organization, or if it's your organization, you want to know how the future would look like. Rather than wait for it, you want to be proactive. And that's where data analysis helps you in understanding things that work out, and so that you can proactively work on it. Now, even though the need was recognized, not everybody was trained to do it. So there was definitely a major gap in that skill set. So what happens when you find a gap in your skill set? The organizations will throw in training programs and they'll try to train people, but the speed at which that need was growing and the speed at which these trainings are fulfilling these needs, there was a big difference between the two. And they could never catch up. So that's when the industry turned to academia to ask academia to start these programs. The first business analytics program in the US did not come very long ago. It was just about 14 years ago, in 2007, that the first program came. And then in the next 5 to 10 years, there was this race around the country, or around the world, I would say, where people would start a business analytics program. So UT Dallas ended up starting their program in 2014. And we've just grown ever since then, starting from a very small class of about 30 students. We are a good 800 plus right now here at UTD. But the idea is everybody needs business analytics in some shape or form. Whether you're a fresher who's just starting in an organization, or you are a senior leader in the organization, you need that ability to read through data. You need that ability to read through data because you need to make decisions. Whether they're operational decisions, They're tactical decisions or they are strategic decisions. You need that ability. And that's why the skill set that you earn with business analytics, this degree, is not going to fade away. Now, some other careers, like let's say if you're a developer, over a period of time, the the scope of your work might reduce, or the relevance of what you did 10 years ago as a developer might change drastically. Why? Because it doesn't really make financial sense to have you do the same thing that you were doing 10 years ago. So what diminishes in other industries and sectors actually expands when you talk about things like analytics. And the way the industry is set right now, for at least 2 to 3 decades easily, this is only growing. It is not going to stop. We are discovering a lot of new things. We are discovering new techniques, methods through which we can make our businesses profitable. So it's only going to grow. Again, another good news is any sector, whether it is driven by technology or it is just something like real estate or oil and natural gas, where you might not think about digital tech being present, even though it's there everywhere, you need analytics. So in simple words, where data is getting created, you need analytics. Now, the other good news and the bad news at the same time is the bad news for the industry is they have a lot of demand for people who are trained in analytics and related areas, but there aren't many. So even though that's a bad news for the industry, that's good news for you who's trying to get this degree, because you'll always be ahead of the rest, because there is so much demand and there are very few people who are qualified. The key word, the operative word here is qualified. For us at UT Dallas, there are 3 things that we look into. Number 1 is flexibility. You choose what courses you want to take, when in the week, which professor, what order, when do you start the program, when you graduate, it's your choice. You tailor that experience for yourself. We also know that it's not only in the class that champions are made. You do a lot of things outside of the class as well, whether it's through student organizations, career events, networking events, professional events, meeting employers, networking with people, participating in competitions, going to conferences, writing certifications, or doing other fun stuff. And that engagement is really, really needed to nurture your experience and nurture you as an individual. So we know that that's important, and we provide a lot of opportunities for you to do that. And finally, we are very heavily focused on outcomes. We want to know what you are doing is it really yielding the results that you look for? If it's not, then nothing that can be done here. And we would definitely want to change the way we are doing things, because at the end of the day, we want to maximize the benefit for you all. So we very closely look at what we are doing. As I said, we are the largest in the country. Our average starting salaries, despite having large classes, is still about $100,000, which includes the first year compensation, any signing bonus, any year-end bonus, etc. We have partnerships with dozens of companies. And when I say partnerships, their executives would roam our hallways. There would be guest speakers. There would be competition judges. There will be funding the program for scholarships and certifications and whatnot. There's a very high return on investment. So let's say you had to take an education loan for the entire program. Generally, any organization gives it to you for 7 to 12 years. That's the payback period. Our students are able to pay it back in anywhere between 2 to 3 years. And it's not that they are stretching themselves. They're very comfortable. They're able to support their families. They're able to support themselves. They're still able to pay and pay well. And that can only happen if our students were making that money. Now, 100,000 is the average. The top end goes all the way to anywhere between $250,000 to $300,000. Internship is a required component and something that we see a lot. So in the last 2 to 3 years, 550 to 600 internships every year is what we see, with an average pay about $24 an hour, which is great, because if this average, whatever you see as the averages for an internship, the full time is about twice of it. So $24 an hour is roughly $50,000 as an intern. So we kind of see the same averages and the same ratio between what the industry standards are, and we are right there on the top of it. There are 10 tracks in the Flex program. The Flex program is the main business analytics program. It's been there since 2014. Has 10 different tracks. Accounting, cybersecurity, data science, data engineering, decision and operation, financial, healthcare, marketing, social media, and enterprise systems. It's a STEM designated program. We have entry in all 3 semesters, fall, spring, and summer. 18, which is half of the degree, is core classes, which everybody takes in the program. And we'll see that in a moment. But then the remaining 18 credits, which is 6 courses, you pick from whichever track you have to. You don't have to declare any track. It's not like you have to tell us that you're doing data science. Just simply start picking up courses. If you're on LinkedIn, I would strongly recommend go and look for this hashtag UTDMSBA. These are first-hand accounts of our students as to what they're doing in the program. Most of them talk about their internships, competitions, their experiences in the program, and this is unmoderated opinions. So go read them to see what our students are doing so that you understand what a UTD MSBA student can do. Now, the 10 tracks that we talked about is in the Flex program. It's offered in face-to-face and in online setting. Most of the classes are face-to-face. Self-paced, you decide how fast you want to go, and it's a state-funded program, which means, let's say you get a scholarship and you're an out-of-state student, you get the ability to pay in-state tuition. You become a TA in the program, you pay in-state tuition if you're out of state. We also have cohort and online as well, which out of the 10, it has courses from 2 of the tracks out of the 10. Cohort has data science and accounting analytics, and again, same face-to-face, self-paced, online options are there. And then we have a 100% online program. So if you are somebody who wants everything in the complete online world, we have that. The 2 tracks there is data science and data engineering. And again, data science being one of our most popular tracks is available across the formats. There's no differentiation. You get the same degree, diploma. One of the things that we have in our program is the GRE and GMAT requirement. And as of spring 22, for spring 22, we have waivers available. We'll talk about that in a second. The STEM designation helps, especially if you're a domestic student and your employer is looking for you to have a STEM degree. That's the benefit there. But if you're an international student and you want an extended period to work on your student visa, on your OPT, STEM designation helps with that. And this is a STEM designated program. Now, the application requirements that we have is we need a GRE or GMAT score. If you want a waiver and you're applying for spring 22, then you can request a waiver by emailing jsom@utdallas. That's the one that we have. We don't have any waivers as of now for any semester beyond spring of 22. We also need your transcripts. Unofficial would do for the decision, but once you're admitted, you'll have to submit your official transcripts, and we do give you time for that. Your resume, 1 letter of recommendation. It can come from a former professor, it can come from an employer, your manager, whosoever, but 1 is enough. And a personal objective statement, your essay, your statement of purpose. A 1-page document with double-spaced document, that's enough for us. Now, what do you write in that? Think about it this way. What could you not tell us in any other place in your application? And mostly what people write in the statement of purpose, the personal objective statement, is why do you want to do this degree? And then how does it factor into your future plans? Now, we don't give any application fee waiver. Being a state institution, we cannot do that. The only set of people that can get an application waiver, fee waiver, is either a current student who applies to our program or an alum. But if you're a first-time applicant, you will have to pay. Now, any subsequent program that you apply for, you will not be ever asked to pay again, but just the first time you'll have to pay. How much is the application fee? It is $50. Plus, if your undergrad degree is outside of the US, then there'll be a $50 charge for evaluation. Please do not get any WES evaluation or any other thing done for your thing. I mean, you can have that for yourself. We don't need it. We do our own evaluation. There is another requirement for the English proficiency, and TOEFL, IELTS, Duolingo, we accept all of those. However, if the language of instruction in your undergrad degree was English, we don't need it. You get an automatic waiver if your language of instruction was English. But in case it is not, then we do accept, again, TOEFL, IELTS, Duolingo. TOEFL, we need 80. That's the minimum score. IELTS is 6.5 and Duolingo is 105. Now the deadlines, the regular deadlines for all 3 semesters, May 1 for fall, spring is October 1st, and summer is March 1st. But we do accept applications all the way until the week before the start of classes. So even though spring is, I'm just taking this example, is October 1st, the classes for spring 22 will start in January 10th. A week before that, if you apply, we will still accept it. But think about it this way. If you're right here in Richardson and you're applying, well, maybe you need a couple of weeks and then you can get started. But if you're an international student, you would require the visa. To get that visa, you need an I-20. To get that I-20, you need to send your financial documents. You can only send it if you're admitted in the program. So you kind of work it backwards. So it easily, from the start of your program, factor about 2 to 3 months for all of that to happen. Now, let's say you apply after the regular deadline. You applied on October 10th. No problem, we'll accept it. There'll be a $75 late fee, but we'll take your application after the regular deadline. These are our direct phone numbers and our email addresses for questions that you may have at any point of time. But before we jump into your questions, I'm just going to quickly show you something about our program. So the catalog that I was talking about, I'm going to put this link as well in the chat so that you can have this. Okay. The core classes that we need from you. And one of the good things about these core classes is, say, there are 3 things that any analytics professional needs to be aware of. What happened, what is going to happen, and what do you recommend? And these are technically the 3 questions anybody will ask you anywhere you go. What will happen is covered as part of our advanced statistics course. What will happen is predictive analytics. And what do you recommend is prescriptive. And I mean, again, I'm not saying this just because this is my program, but having seen other curriculums available in other universities, they don't provide you this mix. The other thing that we top it with is econometrics, which is extremely important when it comes to statistics. Economics and, business analytics. We do have a foundational course in business analytics, which really helps you get started very well, and then a database course. So if you've not had any experience or you've had some experience, but you're still looking for NoSQL related experiences, that course is for you. But on top of it, we have all these different tracks with all these different courses. So technically, to pick your 6 courses, you have close to 70 courses from which you can pick 6. That many number of electives. One other thing that is interesting about the program is, so apart from your degree, you can also pursue a graduate certificate in machine learning. And then we have multiple. We have business intelligence, data mining, cybersecurity, enterprise systems, healthcare informatics. But this is the latest one that we added in the business analytics program. Certificate in machine learning. It's not a certification, it's a full-blown, it's like a micro degree. But all you have to do is take these courses, these 4 courses, and if you get a 3.0 on an average in these 4 courses, you get this certificate. Now, there are people who come to this university to just get these certificates. And depending on their residency, it can cost them anywhere between $10,000 to $20,000. For you all, because you're degree seeking students and you're taking the same courses, it's free. $20 worth of stuff free for you right there. And again, I mean, if I just look at this, for example, BA with R and Advanced Statistics, these two are your core classes every student takes. So technically, every student by default would have completed half of this. All you have to do is you have to take these two electives, which is Applied Machine Learning and Natural Language Processing, for you to get this certificate. So again, lots of benefits here and lots of ways through which you can expand on the value that you're getting or the money that you're spending. But just wanted to show this for a moment, and I will let this be here, but let's start taking some questions. Okay, I have 7 years of experience, and this is Krishna Venkat. Okay, in product, but what? All the while I have enjoyed analytics as part of the project. Off late, I've been thinking about switching to analytics for good. Firstly, is this a good decision? If this, how will the... Well, Krishna, one of the things is with your experience, you probably have experience around some domains as well. And with people, and this is a question that comes from people with more than 5 years of experience, the best thing you bring to the program and to yourself is the domain experience, the experience of working on maybe products, services, technologies, and just seeing how the industry works. So the vantage point at which you are from where you look at data and you use analytics for good decision making is very different, because your experience helps you do that. Now, what the program will do is the program will equip you with both business as well as technical skills as to how do you go and wrangle that data to figure out what you need. Again, analytics is not only about just creating some reports. Analytics may not even require any reports in the very beginning, because reporting technically is the end of the cycle in which you're analyzing your data. The first thing is, how do you ingest that data? How do you put your models on it? How do you run those models and get inferences back? And then your analysis and putting a context around it and putting into a report is probably the last bit you have to do. Unfortunately, a lot of times people who just create reports, they feel that they're doing analytics, and that's not true. If you've not played with models, then you're not investing your time in analytics, and that's what the program teaches you. So one of the things is the program not only gives you the technical skills, the business skills, but also gives you a lot of confidence in doing this yourself. So tomorrow, let's say that you are a one-person team, and that happens a lot of times with our students. You will not feel that you don't have the right skill set. And doesn't matter how many years of experience you come up with, our job is to help you with that confidence. So somebody like you who has 7 years of experience, definitely you will benefit a lot from what you learn in this program. Yes, there will be some learning curve, because when you said that you've had experience around product, and I'm not sure what kind of experience you've had there, because product management could be about a lot of different things. But I'm sure that whatever experience you have, business analytics can ride on it very well. In fact, the one thing that I love about business analytics is it doesn't matter what field you are in, your field has some data it is generating. So business analytics definitely is a candidate for every possible experience, domain, years of experience that you have, or the kind of industry you've worked with. It will help you. Vishal, will there be waivers for fall 22? No, there won't be. And there's another thing too that I probably forgot to tell you all. Let's say you get a waiver for spring, but you want to apply for one of our scholarships. You would need a GRE or a GMAT score. But as of now, we don't have any waivers for fall 22. Spring 22 is the only one. I have Max Ravi. I guess we need to mute people first. Right. I have MIS degree from WVU and I still have to do GMAT. If you have questions, please go ahead and just put them in the chat. The reason we don't let people speak is because that might just consume some more time. But put your questions in the chat and we will cover them.
I'm unable to put my questions on chat. It's coming that you are no longer a participant. What to do?
It's just, why don't you go ahead and join this meeting again and join it from a browser. Okay. Another way to get a GMAT GRE waiver is, and I'm going to show you the criteria. Your university is an AACSB university. Again, if you have anybody from UT Dallas, and irrespective of your major, if you have 3.5 in your undergrad, you get a waiver. But if you're from an AACSB accredited school and you have a 3.6, you can get a GMAT GRE waiver as well. Or if you're a ABIT accredited school, what's the difference between master's degree in analytics and MIS, which involves more foundation in math? All right, so when you think about, and we call it ITM, when you think about systems, that's where ITM comes into picture, or MIS for that matter. But when you look into a very specialized area, which involves data and analysis, that's where business analytics come into picture. Now we do have different programs. We have supply chain, management science, IT management, marketing, business analytics. IT management kind of covers a breadth of things, but it's sometimes hard to really specialize in one of the areas. Whereas you look at degrees like supply chain or business analytics, they're very focused on certain areas. So if your goal is to do anything related to data analytics, then definitely you should pursue the business analytics degree. And another thing is, as you go higher in the kind of degrees you're pursuing, there's always a need for specialization. Business analytics will provide you that specialization. And in fact, of all the degrees that we have, as I said before, the longevity of the relevance is the highest for business analytics, because that is something that will only grow with you. It's not something that will become obsolete. Let's say that you just started your career into business analytics. You're in business analytics. It doesn't mean that after 10 years it will not be required. It may be required even more for you, because you're now probably moving into those decision-making positions. See, again, operational level decisions, strategic decisions, or tactical decisions. You will be in some bucket at any point of your career. So the relevancy of business analytics will always stay with you. For the rest, you might specialize, like I said, computer science. It is more expensive to hire you as a developer once you have certain number of years of experience. So what I would do, I would go to a junior resource, because it's more economical for me as an employer, unless it's some kind of a specialized skill set. But that kind of stuff doesn't happen with people with business analytics background. Do you have a rolling application process? We do. Yes, as we said, that once you apply, it'll take about 2 to 4 weeks for us to return the decision. Fall, spring, summer, all 3 semesters we admit students. Okay. What is the minimum duration in which the person can complete the course before the internship? Well, Rowan, to start an internship, you need to complete 18 credit hours. Now you can do that in 1 semester, even though we don't recommend that, but it can be done. As far as the duration of the program is concerned, the fastest you can finish this program is 9 months. Load up your 2 semesters back to back with 18 credits and you're done. we don't recommend that. It's too much of courses, and you will practically have no time for anything else apart from just being in your classes. The maximum time for the program is 72 months, 6 years, and that is for any program at UTD. But most of our students take anywhere between 3 to 4 long semesters, which is 17 to 22 months that they spend in the program. So the teacher to student ratio, again, it depends on which classes you're in. The core classes generally have 50 to 60 students in a class. And the electives will have anywhere between 20 to 40, I would say, on an average. Again, in the online classes as well, I would say that it is close to about 20 to 30 students in any of the sections that we look at. Shruti, it takes about 2 to 4 weeks. Sometimes our team just turns it around in about 2 to 3 weeks, but I would say their official timeline is 4 to 6 weeks, but they generally take lesser than that. What's a good duration of work experience to be a competitive candidate? None. Work experience is good, but if you don't have it, not a problem. See, everybody comes with something good. If you don't come with any work experience, you would have done something in your previous program or something that helps us identify you as a good candidate. See, our thumb rule is, if we put you in this program, will you be successful or not? Now, you can tell that to us through maybe stuff that you may have done at your undergrad degree, and maybe you're directly coming from that degree, not a problem. Maybe you come with several years of experience. That's also good. Our classrooms are made up of people with experience across the spectrum, 0 to 10 plus years easily. I mean, in fact, we just admitted a student who's starting this degree at 65. Now, we don't have a lot of 65-year-olds, but I'm just telling you that we need everybody out there. And this person comes with almost 25 to 30 years of experience of selling softwares and ERP solutions, and is just trying to get this degree. Imagine the kind of wealth of knowledge this person can share. At the same time, we have students with no experience, and those students, can easily be put into whatever roles that we want to put them into. There are people with some years of experience. They have great understanding of how the industry is working right now. So everybody, irrespective of where you come from and what experience you bring in, you have something that our program needs. Okay, well, wanted to know how many credits can we take in the summer? Well, summer, so fall and spring is 16 weeks, summer is 11 weeks. Being a shorter semester, we don't really recommend taking a whole lot of courses. I would say a comfortable number would be 2 courses, which is 6 credits. You can go and do 3 as well, but strictly not recommended. So 6 is what I would recommend. Lee, does a 3.0 GPA limit strictly apply? Does my work experience help in getting admissions? It does help. Lee, again, everything is considered as part of your profile. Sometimes you may have a lesser GPA, but you have done things in your professional life that is appealing to us, and we might look into that. Now, again, no one thing on your application can bring your profile, pull your profile down, or no one thing can just boost it to a point that we accept you. We look at your application holistically. As I said, everything is read into. Sometimes a differentiator is, your essay, which tells us that, you really understand what you're getting here, or maybe a letter of recommendation. So feel free to just go ahead and apply. Does the program typically admit students directly out of undergrad? Oh, yes, Brennan, we do have a sizable chunk of students who come with no experience. They would have just graduated a few months ago, and then they start their program. So we do have those as well. Rohan, for someone with a 3-year STEM bachelor's and 2 years master's degree, which degrees GPA will be evaluated by the university to be eligible? We'll look at your last degree, but for us, because it's a master's degree, we will be looking at your undergrad as well. In fact, if you have, since you have both, submit both of them. But remember, if your graduate degree is a business analytics degree, that's the only thing that'll hurt because you can't do the same degree at the same level. You can't come with a master's in business analytics or something which is business analytics and just do it again with us. Then you'll have to do some other course. Prasanna, how much would an ideal amount be required to show as proof of funds? Well, if you get a scholarship, which means that if you're out of state, you can pay the in-state tuition. With scholarship, it is $36,000 for your I-20, and without scholarship, it's $51,000. How much time it takes to get the Dean's Excellence results, status in general? So again, these are awarded on a rolling basis. Every 2 to 3 weeks, our committee convenes and looks at the applications and then makes decisions. Let's say that the first time they looked at your profile, you didn't get it. They don't reject you outright. They will put you back into the pool. The next time they come and look at the pool, they might have changed the criteria a little bit, and mostly they lower it a little bit. The cutoffs are lowered. So they do it step by step. It's not a whole lot of things that change, but maybe, I'm just throwing an example. Let's say they're looking at a 320, 325 on the GRE, just for an example. Next time they come, they might look at a 323. The next time they do it, it's a 321. Like that, they'll come down. Again, that was just an illustration. That's not exactly how it happens. But what happens is every time that they visit the pool, the criteria is lowered. Because, again, if you were at that level, you would have automatically got the scholarship. And by the way, the GRE and GMAT is required for the scholarship, but it's not the only thing that the committee looks at. The way the GRE GMAT helps us is because, you all come from different universities, and everywhere the grading scale is different. The way, for some universities, it's very hard to break into, let's say, if you have a scale of 10. Having a 7-pointer is very difficult. And then there are some universities where getting a 8.5 or a 9 is just easy. So there is no way for us to really compare them. And the only way we can compare you is through a standardized score like GRE or GMAT. What is the requirement for GMAT score? Again, there's no minimum. But I would say our averages are somewhere around 650. Same with our GRE, the averages is 310 plus, 312-ish. Those are the averages. What is the I-20 amount for the flex course? $36,000 with scholarship, $51,000 without scholarship. Ishika, hello. Max, I have a bachelor's in MIS from I think we asked this question. Rohan, could you talk about student club and scholarships available for the course? Absolutely. So we have more than 350 student organizations on campus. And whatever you can think about, there is a student organization for that. A lot of student organizations related to business analytics definitely has student leaders from there. Again, this is an essential part of your experience here. And what happens is based on what you do in your student organizations, then the way you are impacting the student life as a whole here in the school, you might get a continuing student scholarship based on that. Again, what we look at is how are you making that change to the student community. But then student organizations are a great way to interface with the industry. Sometimes you might just call an executive who might want to just come and visit your organization. Something that's not possible just by reaching out to the executive on your own, but through your student organization, there is a better chance to do it. You learn and earn leadership skills. You become better with them, and it really helps for you with your overall growth. What's the difference between applying before and after the priority deadline for international students? Well, again, the only deadline that we really, I would say, that makes a difference to you in a big way is the regular deadline. Now, the priority deadline is, your admission results will be sent back to you quicker than what you would get if you applied in the regular deadline. And the other thing is, let's say you applied for a scholarship as well. The results are generally sent to you faster if you got it. Again, if you don't get your scholarship, then you're not rejected outright. It is generally a month before the start of classes, then you start receiving emails that if you did not make it, like for the scholarship. But admit results, you will get it very quickly if you have applied before the priority deadline. If not, 4 to 6 weeks. Our team generally takes 2 to 4. Should you still do GMAT? Max, I think it's a multi-part question, and I shared this criteria here. If you are part of any of this, then you can get a waiver. But if anybody is looking for a scholarship, then we do need a GRE or GMAT. If tests are waived, will it affect my admit chances? No, it doesn't. Again, the waiver is given to you because the committee looked at your academic qualification and made a determination that if somebody like you would have sat in a GMAT or GRE, would you have scored the minimum that we need or not? The only disadvantage is you won't get a scholarship. If for a scholarship, you need a GRE or GMAT. How many hours of classes would we have in a day in Flex program? Well, again, it's not in a day, technically. Over the week, you can take how many ever classes you want. Mostly students take 3 to 4 classes, and it could be spread on 4 days. It could be, multiple classes on one day. You get to decide that. That's the best part about it. But most of our classes, I would say maybe 1 or 2 are there in which you meet twice a week. 99% classes you will meet once a week, which means let's say you do the BA with our class. It's just 1 meeting per week. 1 meeting of 2 hours, 45 minutes, and that's it. Aditi, can you please explain the fee structure in the scholarship available? My GP is about 2.2. Well, Aditi, as I said, we will look at a lot of different factors before we make a determination whether you are good for an admit or not. Again, low scores don't mean disqualification, and high scores don't mean that you will get an admit. We want to see if you're the right fit. So just based on a few numbers, we cannot make that determination. As far as the fee is concerned, in the Flex program, as the number of credits go up, the per credit hour fee goes down. So if I look at my tuition, and I'm just trying to look at some of them. So variable. Okay. So let's say a non-resident who takes 3 courses and a professional development, so 10 credits is what you're going for in a semester. You're going to pay, the tuition would be $15,656 for you. The same for a resident of Texas would be $8,000. Now let's say you get a scholarship, your fee would jump from $15,000 to $8,000. And most of these scholarships will give you the ability to pay in-state tuition for 2 semesters. And let's say you get another scholarship later on, again, 2 semesters is where you can pay the in-state tuition. Most of the scholarships come with that. If you become a TA, let's say you don't get a scholarship, not a deal breaker. There are a lot of good students who don't get scholarships when they come in, but they will get TA-ships, that will help them get the in-state tuition. Let's say you don't even get any scholarship, any TA-ship. Again, not a deal breaker because you get opportunities to work with employers here. And sometimes these employers pay you, 24 was the average, but we also have a lot of students getting in 30s or 40s or even 50s. $50 an hour as a student is $100,000 a year. And that's a lot of money for you to go and pay for your tuition. So technically a $50 student is earning close to $35,000 to $40,000 in 1 semester. How much is your fee? Let's say you're in the out-of-state bracket. Is this 15,000? In fact, a lot of our students start paying their fee from their internship money that they're earning. And all that is possible because you're here at UTD. There is a constant influx of employers and people that you can network with and get those opportunities to work. 600 internships in a year is no joke. And that is with close to 300 to 350 employers all over the US. So that's the breadth of the network that you get to work with. And the program helps a lot in bringing those employers. The university helps there. There are a lot of people that help out. Okay, how many hours? Okay, that was answered. What's the batch size and student faculty ratio? So I talked about the student faculty ratio. It depends on the class that you're taking, but the batch size is, so this fall we admitted 440 plus students, and that's what we generally see, upwards of 400 in the fall. Spring is about, I would say, anywhere between 100, 150-ish, and summer is another 20, 30 students. I see a few courses being taught using R and SAS or prior experience. Absolutely, Aditya. Python is the not the upcoming thing. It is pretty much here. And if you're talking about analytics, Python really works very well. So yes, previous experience will help. In fact, if you take courses related to programming in data science or machine learning that are being taught using Python, so you have that edge there. After getting the admit, the original degree certificate and transcripts can be submitted via electronic means, or hard copy should be submitted. Well, you can do an electronic submission. So a couple ways. One is there is a service called TrueCopy. It's like an institution document management system where institutions are connected to each other and they can send documents. Another way is if your institution from their official mail ID can send attested copies to admission@utdallas.edu, admission, not admissions, singular, admission@utdallas.edu, they will accept that. If you want to send hard copies, then they have to be attested, put in an envelope, sealed, and stamps on the seal, and then you can have that mailed to our admissions office as well, and they will accept it. So there are multiple ways, what I'm trying to say. Jennifer, is interview a must in the application? No, we don't do that. What is the average time after the application you might receive an ad? So 4 to 6 is the official timeline, but generally 2 to 4 is what we do. Anusha, is 304 considered a good score to apply? Well, 304, we have had people do that in the past, but as I said, there are everything in your application counts, and your GMAT GRE is just one part of it. So apply is what I would say. Any chances of working in consulting firms like McKinsey after graduation? How difficult is it to get in consulting after MSBA? Oh, absolutely. Our students work left, right, and center in the big four: Deloitte, McKinsey, PwC, EY, Boston Consulting Group, Bain and Company. You talk about it. In fact, we have some very strong connections with firms like Goldman Sachs, KPMG, who are looking for tech consultants all the time. So yes, absolutely, our students work there, and not just a few students, but every year hordes of students go to these organizations and work there. And absolutely, consulting is good because, see, as I said, the demand for analytics is huge, and there are very few people who really can do it. So with this degree, you will definitely have that edge over a lot of other people who don't have the same skill set as you. I have 2.75 GPA. Maybe I should take GMAT, but is there a specific score? Well, I would say as high as possible. Try to get as high as possible. But don't just speculate based on a score. Apply. Because you never know what part of your application really works out. Yes, I'm from commerce background. Will it be difficult for me, or should I have some homework certification before coming? Well, yes, we definitely provide with some additional resources, but it doesn't matter if you come from a commerce background. You definitely bring in skills that we need in the program, and that will be helpful for you in the program. People who don't have technical or ITCS background, well, there will be a learning curve, but it's nowhere like a roadblock for you that you cannot do anything. Absolutely, it is possible for you to do very well. In fact, some of our best students have no ITCS background, and the reason is because they don't have that background. They end up putting more effort, and the more effort you put, the better results you will have. Not saying that people with ITCS backgrounds have any issues there, but I'm just saying that it's perfectly possible for you to be successful even without ITCS backgrounds. Vishal, is deferral possible from spring to fall? What's the procedure? Well, once you get the admit, all you have to do is reach out to admissions. There is a form as well that you can fill out yourself. If you just search for defer admission UTD, I think it's the first or the second link. Fill that form out. In a couple of weeks, they will let you know. Now, if you have an admit and you want to defer, you can defer up to 1 academic year. Your admission will be deferred, but in case you get a scholarship, that scholarship doesn't get deferred, which means if you defer admission, you'll have to again apply for your scholarship. And there may be a possibility that you may not get it the second time. So just think about all of those things. Do you offer graduate assistantships? We do. You can become a TA, but not in the first semester. We need a UTD GPA, and we want you to take classes for which you'll be a TA, so it can only be done from the second semester onwards. Scholarship options, the number one option is the Dean's Excellence Scholarship that you can apply for. And if you get that, it's $1,000 of towards your tuition. Plus, if you're an out-of-state student, you may have the ability to pay the in-state tuition rates, which technically for 3 courses, 1,000 plus about $8,000-9,000 there. You're getting a good amount of financial relief. How long does it take for decisions? 4 to 6 is standard, but 2 to 4 is more realistic. Will we be able to get internships through the university? Sindhuja, absolutely. In fact, a lot of internships that are pursued by students somewhere originate from the university itself, or relationships or connections that we have with employers. Now, having said that, it's a shared responsibility. It's not like that the student will leave it completely to the university to help them out. You'll have to apply yourself. We will help you out as well, and whichever works first, that's the one for you. What academic technical prerequisites are required? Again, we require you to only have knowledge of calculus. If you have taken that in your undergrad degree, that's all we need. If you haven't, then we will add a prereq course that you'll have to take in the first semester. Apart from that, knowing a bit of programming, a bit of SQL, and just some foundational level knowledge should be good enough. Campus housing place says that we are already full for spring 20, as there is still chances to get campus housing. Well, Prerna, go ahead and apply, but then we have a lot of great housing options around the campus within the 2-mile radius, which is connected by a bus that plies between 7 a.m. and 11 p.m. every day, every 15 minutes. And there are a lot of students that live off campus. Some of them are like walking just at a walking distance. Shall for fall 22, it is undecided on waivers or the decision made that GMAT is required. Vishal, as I mentioned before, we are not offering any waivers as of now. If that changes in the future, that will change in the future. But if you ask me today, we're not offering waivers. And as the world is opening up and people have the ability to take tests and all, there's a very big likelihood that this possibly may not be offered beyond spring of 22, the waivers. Unless you fall in that criteria that I just showed a few minutes ago, then you can. What's the acceptance rate of the application? Well, again, we don't really stop ourselves by a percentage. Why? Because we have the ability to have a fairly large class. And again, it's not a, the flex program is not a cohort style program where everybody, in fact, none of our programs is, where everybody gets in the program in the same time and graduates at the same time. So that's why our ability to have more people is, we have that ability. That's what I wanted to say. Could you please repeat the process of submitting the official transcripts? Yes, so either you get it emailed from your undergrad institution, tested copies, or you have those tested copies put into envelopes, seal them, stamp them, and send it to UTD, or there is a system called True Copy, which is an online system through which institutions can exchange their documents. We are at the top of the hour here for our webinar, so I'll just take the last few questions, and in case there are any repetitive questions, we will be sharing this webinar link, the recording of this. You can always have a look at that. Do you have graduate assistant? We do have them. Talked about that. In the second semester only you can apply. Need to do well in your classes and get at least a 3.4 GPA before you can apply. Not before you apply, before you get it. So which means in the first semester, you can send in an application to be a TA, but only after your grades are there, we will make the decision. Will a master's in operation research be considered same as MSBA, or is it still eligible? We'll have to look at your degree as to what you covered and to what extent it is similar to MSBA. You can have that sent over to me on my email address and I can verify. I have a bachelor's in business analytics. Can I still apply? Oh yes, a bachelor's in business analytics is okay, no problem, because it's at a different level. But if you had a master's in business analytics, then you would not be allowed to apply for a master's in business. Can students join for a spring semester, do a summer internship during the? As I said, all you need is 18 credits. If you can finish all 18 credits in spring, though we don't recommend that, you are ready to do an internship in summer. Do we need official transcripts for application or just normal scan will work? Well, unofficial transcripts are okay for us to go over your, your academic profile to make a decision. But once we give you the admit, you will need to submit your official ones. When and how should we apply? Okay, Ishika, we talked about this. People say that spring students don't get internship in effect. Yes, there is no proven way to look at it. I'll be honest. This is my personal opinion. It's just a lot of speculation. Which semester is good to get internships? Which semester is good to graduate? Proportionally, whichever semester you come in or you graduate from, there will be opportunities. If spring has more graduates, spring has more jobs. Fall has lesser jobs, then there are lesser graduates as well. And there is no guarantee. There are people who find it challenging even when there are more jobs. There are people who get a job very easily even when there are lesser jobs. Let's say right after a summer semester. There is no correlation and there's no connection between it. So don't be worried with that. Aditya, that GRE home edition is accepted. It's still a GRE. Tavish, any difference between the fixed? Not really. You can do this both the programs, Flex or Cohort, in the same amount of time. The only difference is Flex has many more choices. You'll be able to take instructors of your choice. Cohort will have restricted options there. Anushka, you're welcome. And for internship, we have to complete 9 months. Okay. Tavish, I don't know if you joined us late, but it's 18 months. 18 credits. We don't have the too long semester rule here or the 9 months thing because the program requires you to complete 18 credits before you start your degree. Now, whether you take 9 months for that, you take more than that for it, it's up to you. But as soon as you're done with 18 credits, you can apply for an internship. I would say CPT. Okay, so we are right at the end there with the questions. Well, thank you guys for being with us. This recording will be sent to your emails in a couple of days. But as you know, if you have more questions, you can simply have that sent over to us. I'll be more than happy to help you there. I do see a question, one last question, probably difference between MSB and management science. Well, again, management science is something that you'll have to really kind of curate yourself what you want to specialize in. Business analytics, for that matter, specializes in analytics and anything related to data. That's the way to look at it. Can internship be done parallel to semester after we come? Oh, absolutely. So your students generally do an internship and they take classes. They might take lesser classes than they generally take as a full-time student, but yeah, that's pretty much how I would say 95% of our students do. Very few students will only do an internship. And if that's the case, mostly it's the summer semester in which they do that, but it's definitely possible for you to take classes. All right, on that note, have a good weekend and send us your questions, and we definitely look forward to you being here at UT Dallas. I can totally understand your excitement, and all of us have gone through that at some point in our lives, so We will look forward to your association and you being here. And of course, it's a great place to be. And I'm not saying that as a program director, but as an alum myself, having come to UT Dallas several years ago as a student, I can tell you this place is magnet. That's what it is, and a great place to be. Well, what you're doing this weekend, have a lot of fun, stay safe, keep safe, and we will hopefully connect again soon. Bye bye, everybody.